Ah, hey, my name's Raymond, and I'm gonna do a PowerPoint about the North Korean refugees and orphans in China. Okay, so before we start, uh, okay, I'll just read it off here. How would you feel if you lose something important to you? Would you disband your child to have a greater rate of survival if you're running away from somebody? These questions are basically gonna talk about the people, the North Korean refugees and orphans. It's about them. So yeah. Okay. Problems in North Korea. So probably you guys probably know, but like as we all know, North Korea is the country that tries to bomb like South Korea, like to like gain land and to continue their race, like Kim Jong Un, yeah, those kind of people, and then increase their growth, their people. And even if you have a job, it's like really hard to live in that society because they're really poor, and then you don't really have good resources or anything. Like you don't communicate with other countries outside. Yeah. And then of course there's like a lot of people like this. So so secretly North Korean people run away to South Korea or to China. Okay. So after they basically escape, which is a very low rate, uh, uh, like some people, like the North Korean go to China, would wander around China, and then basically the North Korean government would find them, and they would be sent back to North Korea. But probably if you're lucky, probably not right away or something. But it's, usually it's basically you get sent back to North Korea, and then if you get sent back, then you go to somewhere called a jail camp, and then it's you just have to think it's like jail, not a camp at all. You just get tortured. It's really horrible. It's not you like it's really bad, and then basically you almost have to like stay for your whole life. So it's horrible. Okay. So even if you escape to China, it's really hard to get a job because I don't know, like there's even people who doesn't have a job in China, and then if like it's really hard. You can't communicate with other people because you're Chinese, North Korean, and it's like they speak in different language. You know, basically. So it's really hard to get a job, and then probably you won't have any food because it's a long way. You're not gonna ride like a bus to like escape. You probably have to run away. So yeah. So that picture basically is the people who like run away and then like trying to search for them. Like here, like on here it says Yanji. Basically, people run to Yanji, and then the jail is probably like it's on like Namyang or somewhere, or like it's over that area. So yeah, okay. Actually, after their they escape to North Korea to China. Usually, like mostly this happens, but the child like basically is abandoned from their parents because the parents have to survive, and then like if you feed the baby, it's too much work. it's it's less, you have less food to gain less nutrients, so basically the children become like Chinese orphans, but they live in like the worst quality of China. Like they have like the worst orphanage. Yeah. And then like I said, there's the camp, but it's considered the living hill. And then you can see the bottom picture down there. They're getting tortured. See, it's not a fun camp. It's you just get tortured for like your whole life. And then the picture above, I put that picture there because it describes that like if that orphans grow older, basically becomes like that, abandoned, like lonely. So yeah, that's probably what happens. And then there's some people that remained in China, um, like the I said the people orphans or the people who doesn't get sent to back to North Korea, which you have to be really lucky. So uh maybe you don't know, but I'll say the main reason that the North Korean runs away it's because that they don't like the North Korean government, or they're famished, they don't have food at all, or like they have less food, bad quality. It's like a really harsh situation or harsh condition to live in. Yeah. And then it's like many other people in the world, like some that is in China becomes like sex traffickers, or like gets forced to marry. You know, like India, you see those people that get forced by sex trafficking. Yeah, it's like it's the worst thing like it could be. Anyways, as I told you, the orphans live in the worst condition. Up there, you see those children. They are orphans, but they live in like those are not the North Korean refugee orphans, but they actually live in like a better situation than the North Korean orphans. And then down there, it's basically the border. You see the border between China and North Korea. So you see those like Chinese, basically. Next slide. Okay. Sorry, but this slide doesn't have a picture. But yeah. So again, people remaining in China. Usually, the people can't do anything in China because they don't have a citizenship. It causes like many problems when you're trying to have a job, when you are trying to do something like it, like your identity it's it's everywhere. So if you're it's easier to track down by the government because your information is always with you, basically. So it's almost no, there's like no way to escape. Yeah. And then some people just like never stops moving, never stops migrating until they find like a great place, which is really hard, but some people do that, and barely some people succeed, but still. And I'll show you a great example for that. Another one. It's basically there's people there's people in China that are powerless, speechless, and they can't spread their word of pain. They're everybody. They can't show emotions to anybody. They're they're like lifeless. So my this comes to my point of this PowerPoint, which is about the program from KCC, shout on behalf of the voiceless. As you see, I wrote down KCC, Korean Church Coalition for North Korean refugees and orphans. This is basically the reason, the main part, the group, anyway, the whole thing, the reason that I'm doing this PowerPoint. this is it's a Christian church volunteer meeting where we go to Washington D.C., the states, and do a speech, worship for God, and then meet state governors. And we basically talk out loud in front of the White House, make right now it's basically Obama the president, but we make him listen to our speeches and then think about these North Koreans. So what can they do basically? And yeah, so we had a lot of leaders, and then somebody called Shin Dong-hyuk was one of them, and then he basically was a North Korean, and I'll talk about his story in the next slide. Okay, maybe you can't read that, but I'll say it to you. Basically, Shin Dong-hyuk was a man from North Korea that escaped a jail camp called Camp 14, and then somebody called Blaine Harden wrote a book about him. It's about his story. It's a great book. You should read it. You should try. And then basically, his story was about his father was accused, or he was he committed a crime, but it was his father. It wasn't him. So he got locked in a place called Camp 14, a jail camp basically, and then his whole life was about torture until the age of 14, I think. It's probably 15. And then he has like a tragic life. He escaped from China. He escaped to China, but I said that some people get forced back to North Korea, but he wasn't one of them. Probably at that time, the governors didn't find him. But think about it. He's 15 or 14, and his friend died while he was escaping. So he had like a really tragic life, and he's trying to stand out for the North Korean refugees and the orphans in China. In conclusion, there's KCC, and there's KCC, and there's like many ways to spread the word to protect the North Korean refugees in China. It's really heart taking and then not only KCC, but we should develop another organization or clan, or not a clan, but like a group to dedicate to North Korea and yes, or like anywhere else, because if you're in KCC you have to listen to Jesus, because they're basically I'm not joking, but they're Korean and they're Christian, and some of you don't believe in God, like our God, my God, Christianity. Anyways, also you basically have to speak in Korean to like communicate with other people of the leaders. You don't have to, but it's easier basically. So that's my idea. I think we should spread the word and let everybody know to protect the North Korean refugees, that they are in need, and they have a dramatic life. So yeah, that was my PowerPoint about the North Korean refugees in China. I said that word too many times, but still, please help them. And this is my sources basically. And yeah, thank you for listening.